Welcome in, everybody. Michigan State Spartans live here on the Voice of College Football Network. I'm your host, Ryan Elke, and this is episode 17. And funny enough, because that's how many days away we are from Michigan State football. It's hard to believe that we are this close. We are in the middle of August. We are counting down the days till September 4th, where Michigan State will take on Toledo. But we have a lot of fun things to talk about, including something that we were kind of notioning at last week that, the news could be coming. And that's it. Michigan State finally has an athletic director, got their number one target, a name that we are familiar with a school that we are very familiar with. So we will touch on Michigan State hiring Dan Bartholomae away from Western Michigan, what he brings and what that means for Michigan State, because it's a lot of good things. Plain and simple, a lot of good things. So it seems like Michigan State, despite the turmoil that when this show began in June, where we were talking about, the president's leaving, the athletic director's leaving, what the heck's going on, the board of trustees. Then our president stays. We get a new athletic director. It is summer, so we don't hear much from the board of trustees, but I haven't heard much from them. And now we are just 17 days away from Michigan State football. So I want to thank you all for joining us. We're live every Tuesday, Thursday at 9 p.m. Please like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. So we're going to be adding a show here once football starts. So we'll be going live after every single Michigan State game. I'll get it all prepared and kind of guesstimate after the game of what time we'll be live, but we'll be doing a live post-game show every single game, guys. So we're going to have a lot of fun this season. So you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at RyanEL_Key. That's where you can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I will keep calling it Twitter. I'm getting older, so I'm getting more stuck in my ways of what I call things. Follow me on TikTok as well. Post-game walks, Elke. You'll get my immediate thoughts. You'll get some quick thoughts right after the game, right for home games, right from the field as well. And then I'll be bringing you guys some post-game audio during those post-game shows. So you get to hear directly from those coaches and players right after the game. And I'm excited to get this season started. I don't know what season this is for me covering the team. It's been at least 10 years since the first game I have covered for Michigan State, or the first game I covered. It was Michigan State, Ohio State, but it was the really ugly game where Ohio State's punter pinned like 5 punts inside like the 5-yard line. So I think this is my 10th year, at least covering, the first few years, I was just covering games here and there that I could make up there. Now, this would be like season 4 or at least 5. So I think 2021 was my first full season covering. Or maybe it was 2019. 2019, I think it was. It's hard. Time is ridiculous, especially trying to keep tabs on something like this. So before we dive into Michigan State's athletic director hire, the other news is going around. Yes, there's news today that Jackson Kohler has officially entered the transfer portal. The Michigan State standout for basketball. No, nothing shocking there. We've covered that on this show, and Tom Izzo came out a couple weeks ago saying he seems like his roster's all set, and part of these lawsuits that are coming down is that now he can officially enter the transfer portal and teams can contact them, as if teams aren't already contacting them. So they use Jeff Goodman tweeted out that BYU is the strong favorite, as of today. But keep an eye on Kentucky, as now they can finally talk to him. How is BYU the favorite if Kentucky is, just now able to talk to him? Like, how is that possible? But again, that's college sports in a nutshell. is that somehow one team he was affiliated with is in the lead, but now this other team can finally talk to him so they can get in the race. Theoretically, shouldn't they both just now be able to talk to him? Come on, Goodman. Like, just say BYU's been in touch. We all know it's Tom Izzo's biggest complaint. Not biggest, one of the bigger ones. And about just his players being contacted constantly when they shouldn't be. That's just how it is. And then the other news, more football focus. Rodney Bullard, he has finally, so I think he sued the NCAA for his eligibility. So he's practicing with the team right now. And we don't know if he is eligible. And this all stems from his 1 year, I think it was at Valdosta State, where he was a part-time student, did play, but it was by NCAA bylaws that still allowed him to be eligible until the NCAA said, no, you're not. In front of the show, Emmett Matazowski has been questioning this, I think, the entire time that Rodney Bullard has kind of been going through this. Yeah, so he just filed an injunction today against the NCAA in Ingham County Court. So Valdosta State, he was a part-time student. And it's just ridiculous that, we're getting to this point that we are 17 days away. 17. And we have no idea if one of our receivers is even eligible to play. Because the quote they're using is a student's 5-year period, because he's part of I think he's part of the 5 of 5, but technically not. The student's 5-year period of eligibility begins when the student enrolls full-time at a collegiate institution. Within that period, a student athlete may compete in 4 seasons of competition. If a student was not on a squad list and did not compete during a season, then they are more than likely to not use one of their 4 seasons of competition. That is a direct quote from the NCAA's bylaws. And that's what Rodney Bullard's using in his lawsuit. He was not enrolled as a full-time student, so therefore his clock cannot start. It's a messy situation. It's obnoxious that we are here on August 18th. I might have said 17th a minute ago because we are 17 days away. This is episode 17. But we are this close to the season. We have no idea if one of our players is eligible. He is practicing out there, but just another example of the NCAA not having their crap together. And at some point, we need the NCAA to just be grown-ups about this. Just use common sense. But granted, that's asking a lot of people to just, do the right thing, do the smart thing. And that's not what happens in these situations at all. So hopefully with the NCAA's track record in these lawsuits, that Rodney Bullard will be suiting up, game 1 against Toledo. Hopefully this just gets pushed through quickly and we all have a resolution, soon. Why he took this long, Bullard took this long to, bring this to court, that I do not know. That'd be maybe he was just waiting for the right thing to happen. And when, maybe he with the lawyers, they kind of gave him a due date of when to press this button, the in case of emergency button. And this is in case of emergency of, hey, if you want to play game 1 or you want to play the season, we need to get this in now, or at least get it in time to where we can get a ruling and you can play game 1. Because that's the most important, is to get you eligible for that first game, and hopefully they just let it ride from there. So there's your latest lawsuits for the NCAA. That's what's going on now. So before we dive into Michigan State's athletic director hire, we have some exciting news here at the Voice of College Football Network, as we have our very own merch store up live right now. It's at the vocfb.com/shop. That's right. You can look right as we're scrolling down. We do have some nice hats here for sale. Some nice, let's look. This one is just that little pull strap. Nice camel one. That's the snapback, the trucker style. Same here, trucker style snapback. Prices, very reasonable as well. Just the regular old snapback here, $21. I don't remember the last time you got a hat for $21. And then we have these t-shirts as well. Nice polo. Again, come in all different colors, shape, sizes, polo. You get black or white. You have $41 for that polo. You look on all these other websites, polo is now running anywhere between $80 and $150. Not here at the Voice of College Football. Polo is just $41. You got your classic sweatshirts, your game day mugs. Get the green handle on there for Michigan State. You got your can cooler, and something I'll make to dabble in, this tumbler here as well. So you can check out vocfb.com/shop and get your favorite swag. Come and support us, because that's what we're looking for, is just some support here. And as you can see, very moderate prices on everything, very affordable prices on everything. If you don't want the shirt or anything, look, there's some things here too. Just mug, can cooler. I'm a big collector of coffee mugs, not on purpose, but that's just how it works out, is that end up with just a plethora of coffee mugs, and I may just have to add one more to the collection here. Not may have to, I will add one more to the collection here. Treat this like a late night talk show. Just always have the coffee mug ready to go, and especially when we have guests on, just start treating this like a late night show. So vocfb.com/shop and get your merch there. Let me know if you've gone on the website, purchased something. Hit me up on Twitter, Ryan EL_key, and appreciate you all and the support you've given us over here, over 17 episodes, and can't wait for what's to come, especially once this season starts. Excuse me, my sinuses have been ridiculous this last few weeks, so please bear with me in this episode as I'm trying to get them under control. All the mixtures of things I'm taking is somewhat helping, but I'm trying to do better. So we'll dive into the biggest news of the day here. Michigan State Spartans live here on the Voice of College Football Network. We're live every Tuesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. Post-game shows coming once games actually begin. But the biggest news for Michigan State fans this week is that we have finally named an athletic director, as Michigan State has named Dan Bartholomae from Western Michigan to lead the athletic program. And from what we talked about, this is a name we mentioned, a week or two ago when we were talking about the latest update, that it seemed like it was between the interim AD and Bartholomae, and that all signs were pointing to this hire. So now it is become somewhat official. I say somewhat official because the press conference is tomorrow, and then I believe the board of trustees vote on the contract doesn't happen till can't remember if it's August 31st or early September, but that week I believe, because I believe that's when school officially starts for Michigan State. So that's to become officially official is when it is voted through and we're all in the clear. Because as we've known throughout for Michigan State, this board of trustees, let's wait till we are all in the clear. But this is huge news for Michigan State and a great hire. Someone that kind of fits the mold of modern college athletics, but can also pick up steam to where Michigan State was. You know, we can all have our complaints and snicker about J Bat, but J Bat, I think, kind of gave us the jump start into modern college athletics that we needed. You know, even though the Bat looked for the quickest way out of here, I still think he did leave us in a little bit better spot than he did begin. And that was with 10 months on the job, not even. So Bartholomae coming from Western and, you know, a lot of success. He was there for just a little over 4 years. You know, before Western, he was at Oregon State. Before then, he was at Pitt. But just with Western Michigan, as we know what Western Michigan athletics has done the last couple of years, of what we know closest to our hearts, them, you know, winning the national championship in hockey. What was it, just 2025 that they won? Yes, 2025. They won the national championship in hockey. You know, in football, they were MAC champions last year. And just in those 4 years where Bartholomae was there, they won 37 conference championships, had 17 All-Americans. So someone who has poured a lot into athletics, and not just with the winning, but with the pocketbook as well. Because since Bartholomae had been there, the annual giving had increased 475%. Math that doesn't make sense. You know, the number of unique donors, you know, more than doubled, increased by 105%. And something that is also important is that, you know, secured private funding and resources to help build a new facility for basketball and hockey. And not that Michigan State is looking for new homes for any of their teams. Breslin's in great shape. Munn's in great shape, has gone through extensive renovations. Spartan Stadium, good shape, needs renovations. And that's something that I think we were excited J Bat was kind of getting the ball rolling at, was those renovations for Spartan Stadium. So to bring someone in that can kind of keep that ball rolling and maybe take it to the next level and knows this state really well, knows people to call, as we know here with the state of Michigan, there's you have your MAC affiliates of where you went to college, and then you know, if you didn't go to the state schools, You were a fan of one of those state schools. So it's you can even plug back into some of the hopefully those resources at least have those connections already started of where to go. You're not starting from square one of where to look at for donors. And as for this Michigan State fan base, as we all know, like this is an eager fan base to kind of get things back on track for this football program and to keep things rolling for hockey, to keep things rolling for basketball. So Bartholomew is going to come in with a hungry fan base that is looking for its first national championship in many years. One of the major sports. So I think for Michigan State, who's to say if it is a home run hire, it's a bust, it's this, all the buzzwords. It just seems like a really nice fit at a time where we just needed something to fall our way. We've seen that just through the football hiring the last couple of years where, it seemed like things didn't fall our way in the coaching searches, in these searches. But it seems like somehow in the athletic director search in the past 2 years, Michigan State's done a good job. Like I said, you can call bat all the names you want, and I'm fine with it for how he left. But I still feel like he did a good job of just kind of getting the ball rolling of where we need to be in the state of college athletics now. And to get someone that, seems to have a similar philosophy, but now has the results, tied with his name as well. Like, great work for Michigan State. Great work, a great day for the Spartan fan base. And for, our Bronco fans that were a little upset. I think most Western people understood of like, hey, he took the bigger and better job. Thank you for everything. Like, hopefully, hey, like, come be fans with us. We're not looking to play CMU anytime soon. Like, you and Eastern are our MAC people now. We played Western last year, playing Eastern this year, playing Toledo. We're always going to play a MAC team some point in the football schedule. And Michigan's kind of buddying up with CMU again with their football schedule. So let's kind of stay friends here. All right. All right, football program. Let's stay friends. And with the former Western AD here at the helm at Michigan State now, that'll probably be the case that, Western and Michigan State will be schedule friends for a long time, not even including, Dwayne Stevens with the basketball program. Like, we have a lot of reasons to be friendly with the people of Kalamazoo. So it's just nice. It's just a sigh of relief that this is done. As I remember, we haven't done that many shows. I feel like I've spent multiple shows talking about the president and the AD and the board of trustees. Oh, so the fact that this is all wrapped up before football season starts. Things seem to be in a good place at the moment. Tom Izzo's here. Adam Nightingale's here. Robin Fralick's here for women's basketball. Love her. Love what she's doing with that program. Pat Fitzgerald's here, an adult in the room for football. Have a good AD hired in, starting. The president fiasco's done with. Gustovitz is staying. Like, can we all just keep it cool now? Like, I think that's all we're asking is, like, can we keep our crap together? Because I remember years ago when D'Antonio was still here, I was doing my radio show, And I can't remember. It might have been Michigan was probably hiring someone. It might have been after Beeline left. I remember saying, like, how lucky us Michigan State fans were for that period of D'Antonio Izzo. Not because of the success of the programs. Like, that was obviously paramount, but the fact that we went 12 years not even having to worry about a coaching search in those sports. How many other schools across the country could you look around and say you could go 12 years without even having to think about hiring a football or a men's basketball coach? Like, the answer is there's not a lot. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now. So we were very lucky for that time period. Because even just look, since D'Antonio's retired, we're on our third football coach in 7 years. Like, we haven't even eclipsed how long the D'Antonio era has been. And we're on the third head coach in football. Granted, still the same head coach for basketball. That's great. Hopefully we can keep going. And hopefully with some championships to boot. But now it seems like we are finally, as fans, in a stable position of not having to worry about the outside things when it comes to being a Michigan State fan, that we can just yell and scream about the sport itself. Now, granted, the state of the NCAA and college athletics doesn't help us trying to, put our blinders on and how we focus on these teams, but we're still in a better spot. We're in a better spot than we were a week ago. And so that's what excites me heading into this football season, not just what we've heard from fall camp, but we don't have to deal with any of this junk anymore, at least for now. And that is a blessing. So I'm excited. I'm excited that that's done, that we're 17 days away from actual football to watch. I'm getting really aggressive with this pen because I'm that excited. 17 days away from our first tailgate. It is a Friday night, but it's the Friday night of Labor Day weekend. I love that. I kind of love that tradition. I love the joke that every year Michigan State kind of puts out their schedule and they haven't flipped yet. And we have to wait a month to where like, oh yeah, the game's a Friday. I don't know why we just can't always put it on the schedule. I guess they're waiting for the TV, which TV station will come and say, we'll host this game. I'm excited for the first tailgate, excited for the first game, excited to keep hearing how this team is developing in fall camp. We'll touch more on the actual football team, on Thursday's episode. Got to see how they're coming along. And, now that betting lines are out, doesn't look great for us, but, we're going to pick our games. Maybe we'll look at FanDuel's odds and see, which future lines look the best for Michigan State. So that'll be something we'll dive in Thursday. But when I thank you all for joining as we talked Rodney Bullard, as he, is suing the NCAA to get his eligibility to actually play the season. Jackson Kohler officially entering the transfer portal, and see what will happen with Kohler. And then Michigan State finally hiring an athletic director, Dan Bartholomae from Western Michigan. He'll be introduced tomorrow right there in East Lansing. So we'll probably touch a little bit on the press conference there probably won't be much to say or much to really talk about. It's just another press conference, but we'll touch on, see if there's anything fun that he said maybe throughout the process of this. And then we'll touch on those lines throughout the game and see how this team is progressing through fall camp. So I want to thank you all for joining. Remember, follow us, follow the network too at the VOCFB. They have shows for a lot of the schools. More are popping up, especially as we inch closer to the season. Subscribe to us on YouTube and follow me on Twitter, Ryan EL_Key. I'm your host of Michigan State Spartans Live every Tuesday and Thursday, 9 p.m. Post-game shows coming once games start. Thank you all for joining, and go green.